If you think today's Hollywood is wild, it was just as crazy back during its so-called golden age in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. It was an era of cougars and seductresses. Female film stars did whatever they wanted with whomever they wanted, and the men in show business followed suit. It was almost like everyone was going at it back then, and if you weren't invited to at least a few raucous Tinseltown orgies, you were obviously a nobody. Stars were getting it on so frequently and with so many different partners, it was hard for them to keep track of all their intimate liaisons. In this video, we'll be taking a look at some classic Hollywood stars who slept with too many people to count. Ava Gardner. Old Blue Eyes Frank Sinatra sang songs about this star, but he wasn't the only man to get all caught up in Ava's allure. She was married for a brief period to actor Mickey Rooney in the early 40s. And while he at one point boasted about how good their love life was in his eyes, Gardner burst his bubble by saying while he may have enjoyed the sex, she sure didn't. Gardner famously was also involved with the eccentric multi-millionaire Howard Hughes and jazz musician Artie Shaw before marrying Sinatra in 1951. She later had an affair with Ernest Hemingway while vacationing in Cuba. To get an exact count on the number of men Gardner seduced would be downright impossible because even the partners we just listed are the tip of the iceberg in terms of her sexual conquests. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. And stick around for more about celebrities and their sexual partners. Elizabeth Taylor. This legendary actress was famed for both her acting chops and distinct beauty. Taylor was also known for being one of the most scandalous seductresses in show business back in her day. Perhaps her most controversial moment happened when she slept with singer Eddie Fisher while he was married to her best friend, Debbie Reynolds. Taylor and Fisher eventually got married after he broke things off with Reynolds, although the two ultimately divorced. Taylor felt terrible for what she'd done to her so-called bestie and offered Reynolds a heartfelt apology. Fortunately, the damage wasn't permanent, and the two reconciled things and continued as best buds. Throughout her life, Taylor was married 7 times, although she married Richard Burton twice. After getting divorced for the last time in 1996, when she parted ways with construction worker Larry Fortensky, she decided enough was enough, and remained single until 2011 when she passed away. Vivien Leigh. Best known for portraying Scarlett O'Hara and Blanche Dubois in Gone with the Wind and A Streetcar Named Desire, Leigh was also known for being stunningly beautiful and irresistible to the leading men she accompanied on screen. But for her, success didn't come easy. And her notorious marriage to Sir Laurence Olivier was tumultuous, to say the least. When she first laid eyes on Olivier, while attending a play he was performing in, she told her friend he was the man she was destined to marry someday, despite the fact she was already married to her first husband, Herbert Lee Holman. But to her, people were disposable. She was willing to do anything and everything to achieve what she wanted, regardless of who got hurt in the process. Olivier was likewise married when he caught Leigh's attention, but that too didn't stop her from following him and his wife when they vacationed in Capri. Leigh and Olivier ended up sleeping together even though his wife, Jill Esmond, was pregnant. Olivier kicked Esmond to the curb and married Leigh shortly thereafter. After she divorced Olivier in 1960, Leigh dated John Merivale for 7 years before passing away in 1967 from tuberculosis. Other partners Leigh was linked to included Marlon Brando, Elia Kazan, Orson Welles, Justin Mitchell, Alexander Korda, Stuart Granger, Ona Munson, and Peter O'Toole. Tallulah Bankhead. She was drop-dead gorgeous, witty, rebellious, and not afraid in the least to speak her mind, regardless of how her words alienated people in her orbit. Bankhead was one of the most prominent sex symbols of her day. Writer and actor Emlyn Williams once described her sultry voice as being as steeped in sex as the human voice could possibly go without drowning. She notoriously got around, and her sexual appetite was said to be bottomless. Bankhead struggled with substance abuse and alcoholism, and reportedly smoked as many as 120 cigarettes a day, but wasn't shy about candidly discussing her many vices. She was openly bisexual at a time when that sexual orientation wasn't widely accepted. In an interview with Motion Picture Magazine in 1932, Bankhead bragged she hadn't had an affair in 6 months, complaining that was 6 months too long. After the release of the Kinsey reports, Tallulah was quoted as saying she didn't find anything shocking about Alfred Kinsey's conclusions. She went on to explain she had numerous momentary love affairs and impromptu romances that she went into impulsively. In 1933, Bankhead almost died after having a 5-hour emergency hysterectomy procedure due to venereal disease. When she left the hospital, she told the doctor he shouldn't assume she had learned a lesson from the ordeal. The New Yorker reported Bankhead claimed that she had slept with roughly 500 people in her life. In addition to her many affairs with male stars, Tallulah was also linked romantically with female celebs like Greta Garbo, Hattie McDaniel, Beatrice Lillie, and Marlene Dietrich. Jayne Mansfield. This actress, aside from Mae West, was probably the most racy and sexually promiscuous actress in Hollywood history. The blonde bombshell, who was famously photographed giving Sophia Loren an eye full of cleavage, had countless lovers. She was even rumored to have been JFK's mistress for a spell. Her most infamous romp was with Church of Satan founder Anton LaVey, although Anton only publicly claimed he had an affair with her after the actress had passed away. Mae West. Another blonde bombshell who deserves mention in this video is this Brooklynite actress who took Hollywood by storm in the early 1930s with her deliberately loose image. She was someone ahead of her time. She supported gay rights, slept with African-American lovers, and openly ridiculed the traditional institution of marriage. When West was 17, she married vaudeville actor Frank Satkus, who performed under the stage name Frank Wallace. She attempted to keep that marriage a secret, but it was revealed to the public when a filing clerk discovered the marriage certificate and promptly alerted the press. West divorced Wallace in 1942. While Wallace was the only person West ever married, she was well known for sleeping around. One of her most famous lovers was Paul Novak, who she claimed was the love of her life. Lupe Velez. Known by some as the Mexican Spitfire, Velez was rumored to have died with her head in a toilet after committing suicide in response to her lover leaving her and their unborn child. According to her secretary, however, Velez was actually found deceased in her bed. She was tied to actor Gary Cooper, whom she dated for many years, and referred to as the love of her life. She was reportedly viciously jealous of Cooper and repeatedly accused him of having affairs with actor Anderson Lawler, among others. Lupe was notorious for her flagrant exhibitionism. It's rumored she slept with hundreds of lovers throughout her life. She would also routinely lift her skirt over her head to reveal she wasn't wearing any underwear. Clara Bow. This actress was the Hollywood it girl of the silent film era, and one of the film industry's first starlets. By the time she retired from acting at age 28 in 1931, her life was already steeped in scandal. It's rumored she slept with the entire USC football team, and she routinely treated her boyfriends as engagements, which only created controversy when she would promptly move on to the next one. Louise Brooks. This actress had an incredibly brief yet prolific film career. After leaving her first husband, director Eddie Sutherland, she fell for George Preston Marshall, the owner of the Washington Redskins. She eventually left him to marry someone else, whom she likewise left after only being married for 6 months. She had many lovers, including Greta Garbo, and wasn't opposed to posing in the nude, something she'd frequently do. Now it's time to hear from you. Can you think of any other actors or actresses from the golden age of Hollywood who were notoriously promiscuous? Let us know in the comments section below. And before you go, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to Facts First if you haven't already. Click the bell icon to stay updated on all our latest content.